Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And with that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time. All right, thank you all so much for watching again. Shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
What's going on, everybody? This is Chilifa Nem. Glad to be here.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us.
What's going on, man?
Yeah, just why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do. Give us that Tinder profile involvement with music.
Yeah, man. Chilifa Nem, originally from Texas, moved out here 2020 to the Portland area, mainly all hip hop, R&B, do some songwriting, producing, singing, really just kind of anything that inspires me. Got into music when I was younger, playing the drums, growing up in church, come from a family of singers, family of preachers.
So you've just had music all around you since the beginning.
Yeah, man. So I kind of always been around it, but I was always the one not doing it a lot of the times, right? So growing up is a little overwhelming when all of your family can sing and doing all that type of deal. So I, focused mainly on the, drums and doing a lot of the composition and stuff. But yeah, went high school, drumline, did all that stuff. Had to stop actually when I started playing sports, got moved up to varsity, so kind of stepped away from it for a while, but was always a huge just fan of music, a fan of feelings. I'm relatively emo, so I like to listen to things that invoke a certain emotion and things like that. So music has always been a form of therapy for me, and I didn't really dive into making it till later in my life, especially being an artist. And so 2019, 2020 was really the first time I started trying to create for myself, and not just writing for other artists or creating samples for beats for other artists, and being the person that would kind of just send them ideas and demos, because that's how I originally started. I was like, hey, this sounds cool, I'm gonna do this, and send it to a friend. Hey, do this, put this on a beat, or try this inflection, or try this thing on this song. And so it got to the point where I was doing that so much, people were like, why don't you just make your own music, right? And I was like, oh, okay, I guess. But I was always a person didn't like a lot of attention, so that was always daunting for me. But I've enjoyed the process, learned a lot about myself, and increased a lot of my skill set over the past few years.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
And did you come out here to do more music, or what brought you out to?
Yeah, man. So like I mentioned, I was an athlete growing up, ran track in college, ran football in college, or did football in college for a year, then ran track. Started working in college athletics, did that back home in Waco, Texas at Baylor for a while. Was around a lot of dope artists, frat brothers, other athletes, just a lot of people that really kind of got my energy around music a little higher again. I was like, oh, I enjoyed it again. I enjoy seeing other people do what they do. But kind of just got gassed with, working in higher ed and in athletics. Didn't really feel like I was making the impact I could. There's a lot of, just creativity that was still in me that wasn't getting used. And so literally one day I was like, you know what, I'm gonna move. And like I pointed on a map, and it was Oregon, and I've been to Eugene before for track when I used to run track and things like that. And I saw Portland. I was like, you know what, let's go to Portland. That's where Nike is, Under Armour, like a lot of good folks in the creative scene. So I was like, let's try it. And so I literally moved out here, not for music, just to kind of explore and do something different. Knew no one. From like my first week here, met a couple cool dudes. They rode around the car with me, and it was like, who's this playing? I was like, oh, this is me. I just made it on Logic. And they're like, bro, you're an artist. And I was like, nah, nothing like that. And they was like, nah, you are for real. Made a couple phone calls, hooked me up with a dude, Forrest Pond, who started Never Home Music. He was like, hey, let's come in. Started doing projects with him, and then boom, now I'm an artist. So like very random, very aligned, it seems like, almost divine. Still a lot to learn, but yeah, man, it was dope just to come out here, have a vision of like, all right, whatever my purpose is out here to find my next kind of calling. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
pretty soon after you got here too, it sounds like.
Same month, like before pandemic hit. So this was like January 2020, right?
Okay.
And had 2 months of like kind of exploring, seeing things, and then
and then plenty of time to work on it once you figured it out.
Exactly. So it was like, all right, I'm stuck inside. Let's send some tracks back and forth, like literally, and that's kind of how it all started for me, especially out here in Portland.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, pandemic is still an unfortunate time for everybody. At least you made the most of it in that time.
I had no choice.
And, I mean, we'll talk all about your music more in the middle portion of it, but you've got a good sound going on for sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
But before we dive into it, and actually, we're going to circle back on the sports part before we get into it too. But I have a couple foundation questions I like to share with everybody on.
Definitely.
And this first one, it's one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Own money is hilarious. Because I feel like it was still like allowance money. Like, you know what I'm saying?
But like one that you went and bought.
Yeah. Carl Thomas. What was the name of the album? It was because he had the S curl and his little shades on. I thought it was the coolest shit ever. I can't remember what the album was, but it was like one of his main ones. It was Carl Thomas. That was the first one I bought with my own money. First two albums I had in general was Millennium.
Okay.
2000 Will Smith, context. And then Backstreet Boys, I think theirs was called Millennium or something. It was 2000.
Yeah.
I ended up giving that to my fourth grade crush and then never saw that CD again. But
always.
Yeah, man. So Millennium, Carl Thomas, and Backstreet Boys were actually my first three that I like either spent my money on or like chose, which is super random, right?
I mean, hey, those are all quality choices for their time for sure.
Definitely.
And then what was one of the first live shows you ever went to that was like specifically one you wanted to go to? So like you saw it was happening, got tickets, went to it.
Oh man, first one that I really like invested time in, because the first one I went to in general was Switchfoot, Need to Breathe.
Okay.
Both like Christian leaning rock bands. I grew up in the church. Dad's a pastor, so like that's definitely a part of my life. But I'd say the first one that I paid for. What is the first one that I paid for?
I know it's tough. I had been saying the answer wrong for so many episodes.
Yeah, because I feel like I want to say one, but I was like, I don't think that is actually the first one I went to. I'll do just a recent one then, like, to be honest. I'll say the first one I was like planned the trip to go to, pay money for, ask people if they want to go, pay for Airbnb with Smino.
Okay.
I'm a big Smino fan.
Hell yeah.
Like, anybody who's like hella musical like him, like he can sing, he can rap, like all that. Like Smino is a huge influence of mine, or just someone I like listening to. So, planned the whole trip to go see him in LA, and that was dope. Love Smino.
I bet that was wild.
Yeah, Smino's great, man. And I saw him when he came out here to Portland too. Like, yeah, he's dope. I love Smino.
Did anybody else perform on that show?
Sir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was
a really good show.
It was Smoking Grooves, Rolling Grooves, Smoking Grooves, I think it was what it was called. Hiatus Coyote was there, Sir was there, Phony People. It was deep. It was deep.
So jealous.
It was so lit. It was dope. It was one of those type of shows that you literally just kind of get lost in it. You get lost in the energy.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, I want to be around music, right? Like it was one of those vibes for sure. And there was ton of other artists. Erykah Badu was there. I'd actually already seen or met Erykah Badu before in Dallas at a DJ set before, but she's just, legend.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was that was one of those shows, festivals where it's like, all right, I want to make music, I want to be around music, I need to be involved in music, like just from that, for sure.
Damn, that's incredible. That is
definitely,
again, super jealous now because
it was lit, man.
That would have been a moment for sure.
Definitely.
And then before we officially get into it, like I said, I want to circle back to sports.
Yep.
Anytime somebody talks about having done sports and being involved in music as well, I'm doing this running thesis conversation. What were some of the similarities you experienced between sports and music?
I think the first one, because I'm a person that is driven by emotions and things, is just like the anxiety of it, the endorphins that you get from it, and just kind of the rush that practicing, showing up to a meet, competing, the feeling when you're done with a meet and it's like, all right, I did it, I finished, like I can eat my pizza now, because I ran track for 4 years of college, played football 1 year, and so I would just say like the camaraderie, preparing for a game with your teammates or making music with your producer or with your friends or your homies, seeing the work you put in, and then like kind of seeing the fruits of your labor like out for the public, or winning a game or winning a track meet or doing something like that. That's definitely like the one-to-one comparisons for me. And like just the feeling like when you on a losing streak or you have a writer's block and you finally come out of it, it's something that I really enjoy, that feeling. I'm a person who definitely deals with a lot of writer's block, definitely deals with a lot of anxiety. Have always had performance anxiety growing up in sports, and like sports was a way for me to kind of overcome that, because you didn't have a choice. It was like, one, I had to pay for school, so like track paid for school, but high school, I was I was good at sports, and that kind of helped me get out of my shell, not be as shy, like, show up, have a routine, and not just kind of drown in like emotions or feelings, right? And so like it allowed me to, get rid of a lot of anger, get rid of a lot of sadness, like have some camaraderie, have friends, just learn how to interact with people from different, backgrounds, diverse backgrounds and things like that. So like definitely the one-to-ones from, sports to music is just like the competitive edge of it. Like getting out your emotions, the work ethic, like the highs and the lows. And for me, again, like when sports stopped, there wasn't a huge place for me to kind of just test myself and push myself to step outside of a box, because I can get very comfortable just like doing my own thing, going home, and going to work, going home, not doing anything creatively, not interacting with people. But making music forces me to get out my shell, go inside a studio, speak to vulnerable things, and not just kind of be shy, because I'm relatively reserved, especially around strangers. And so having to go and say intimate things about, a lover or a situation, or if I'm rapping or whatever in front of strangers, like it's like that's very nerve-wracking for me. And so having to push myself in those moments definitely is like good for character development too.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
Oh yeah. Definitely. I mean, that might be one of the most concise answers I've ever gotten to that question. So thank you for sharing. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
But now let's go ahead and let's get into you in the present day.
Yep.
We are, however, going to get a super easy one out of the way.
Yep.
How'd you pick the name?
Chilifa Nem. Nickname, 2009, I was listening to a lot of Wiz Khalifa, right? Like Cushion OJ, like legendary mixtape. And so I would always just riding around, windows down, listen to it. And so people started calling me Wiz Chilifa. Chili is like my nickname. And then it turned into kind of, Chilifa, Khalifa, and then Chilifa Nem, like, Southern or anyone really, like you say, hey, you going over to your cousin Nem house or whatever. And so Chilifa Nem was just like, oh yeah, that's Chili Nem, basically. It's kind of like an allusion to that, and it kind of just stuck. And like when I first started making music, like I like to have 3 separate kind of personalities in my music. So Chilifa and Nem, basically, like, because I like to do rock, I like to do hip hop, I like to do, rap, singing or whatever. And so it kind of just encompassed all those things for me, and it just kind of stuck from there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
I definitely dig it. And it's really, I mean, that sounds as thought out as I kind of expected it to be. So I really appreciate that.
Definitely.
But you definitely have a very diverse set of sounds. Like that was something I was listening to. But again, we're going to talk about it more in a little bit.
For sure.
I want to start right at the beginning with your writing process. When it comes to getting a track started, what are some of the things you do in the beginning?
Yeah, sounds, never words. Like it's always like a melody or a cadence, and like I'll mumble on a track or come up with some stuff, or like write one like keyword, and just hopefully some stuff comes from there. Especially with my older stuff, I didn't have to compare it to anything. It was just like kind of fresh. I'd close my eyes, like start mumbling some stuff. I was like, here's a keyword, all right, bet. And then like find a melody and just kind of story tell from that. As I've like kind of grown in it, like I am a little more intentional about what I'm talking about and like how I'm talking about it. But most of the time, man, it just kind of comes from thin air. The best stuff comes from when I'm in a mood, if I'm mad, if I'm sad, if I'm angry, whatever. But there isn't much like writing involved. At least at the beginning. I found that like I get kind of stuck if I'm like writing stuff. It's like, now I'm writing poetry, so now how do I make this a cadence? And so like if I have like a general kind of idea or flow, turn the lights off, play the instrumental over and over, say a couple words, take a break, come back to it. Oh, this is what I can hear myself trying to say, put words over the sound, and then kind of develop a story from there. But yeah, man, I'm not a huge like writer, and I don't mean that to like boast or anything. It's like I that's something that I want to do better at. Let me say that. So not a good writer for myself. I can write for other people. I can write stories for other people, but for myself it always feels different for some reason. So like it's more so like whatever vibe I'm feeling at the moment, does it sound cool? And then I kind of come back to the words and all that stuff later.
Okay. Yeah, no, I dig that. And I mean, I think with today's day and age of being able to like kind of punch in as much as you'd like, you know what I mean? Like writing by recording what you're saying is very much a format now. Like it wasn't back in the day when you were paying for the time in such a way. So like now you can almost, instead of having to like take a moment to pen and paper or even type on the phone, you can just say it, hear it back, be like, okay, if I say this and this, so it's kind of becoming the way anyway.
Exactly. And I started by doing it at home with myself, so I didn't have to like come fully prepared or have like a topic. And I'm not a freestyler by any stretch of imagination, unless I'm drunk. But like I can come up with like things, but like, I admire the hell out of like, especially like actual rappers, like who just, off the dome, cadence and all that type of stuff. Like that's crazy to me. Much respect. Me is more so like feelings. Like I like to sing on a lot of my tracks. And so like when I hear a track, like I hear singing first. And then like if it's like a more bar heavy track, I'm like, all right, let me try to, get my bars together. But I always just like, and again, have been, raised in the church, like hearing the soul type of deal. Like I hear that first before I hear like bars or rapping. And so chances are like, it isn't like a written out, like methodical thing. I do like cerebral things. I mean, when I make music with like my group, The Garden, like it's a little more cerebral and we can kind of dive in and have fun with each other. But when it's by myself, it's like, it's feeling first. And like, all right, how can I get across this feeling that I feel in a, melodic way or something like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that.
For sure.
Once you get a track finished writing, and like, it doesn't have to be like released per se, but you've gotten it start to finish, you're ready to start like getting comfortable to later perform it. How long does that usually take?
That last 20% takes the longest, man, to be honest. So it's not easy, but it's relatively easy to come up with a sound, come up with a cadence, and then hooks are my thing. Like I can make a hook like over and over, like easy, but like the follow through with the content, the verses are a little more, can be a little more difficult for me. So for me, I think that last 20% like is probably the hardest. Going to the studio, making sure it's tailored, making sure it's EQ'd, compression, all that stuff. And then, putting together your rollout plan, like uploading, that part is a little more tedious for me. But usually, I have thousands of demos, right? And so like I like to take it to somewhere else, like, hey, what do you think about this? How can we tailor it? And then kind of let them take it to the next level, because I can like nitpick it like all day long and it never comes out, which is half of my music, right? So I'm really getting to the point now where like kind of how we mentioned earlier, like having trust in like your people around to like make it sound professional, clean, and just let it go from there. And so it takes probably, if I finish a song, say tonight, maybe a month to go to the studio, get it done, land on a mix that I like, and then from there another month to like, all right, how am I gonna release this? And then do I want a visual? And so like I would say like for one song, if I make it, I'm happy with it and want to put it out probably 3 months, like, to be honest.
Well, just so that was a great answer, but I want to circle back because actually I was just curious, how long does it take you to like memorize a track so you can perform it?
Man, memorize a track. I want to say that I probably have 3 songs fully memorized.
Okay.
Because again, like it's like if I practice it, I got it. But the ones that mean a lot to me don't have to. But not every song means like everything to me. But I would say, it'll take, a couple run throughs. When it comes time for show, like when I was really kind of in my show back 2021, 2022, it kind of just clicks in the moment. But like if I'm like at home, like trying to rehearse, like I'll mess up a lot, right? Like, and then like when it's showtime, like I can, turn it on.
You just have it.
For sure. But I was, if I have a show coming up next month, if I, practice 4 days out of the week, I'll be good to go.
Okay,
I can memorize it.
You still put a pretty fair amount of work in.
Yeah, I mean, this is work for sure. Like, you know what I mean? And even more so for me, like I do have a hard time retaining a lot of information and memorizing things. Football, ton of concussions, had to stop medically playing football, and a plethora of other things. But if I sit down and have a plan, like it'll come together pretty quick.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Now let's go ahead and let's talk about some of your music.
Yeah.
Because you got music going back all the way to 2020 on Spotify, and I listened to all of it. To all of it. And first of all, your sound is so chill. Like just even on some of the more like I feign to call them aggressive, but more of the like impactful sound ones. You just kind of live in this space, but it's more than that. And now knowing a bit more of your background, it makes more sense. But it's very melodic, but it's also very full. Like there's not a lot of moments where I'm like, oh, there's a gap in here somewhere. There's always kind of just the right amount of sounds happening. And I mean, all the beats kind of have their own swag to them. They all have their own feel. The bass is always fat, just so big.
Gotta have it.
And the pace on every track, I felt like never felt any one way more than it needed to. And I would almost love to hear an album from you one day, just because I'm like, that arrangement will be incredible. Incredible.
For
but
sure.
I was checking out your most recent track, Night Rider, with is it Dead Rose?
Dead Rose, produced by Goodbye, Kalev, homie Avi, killed that track.
It's so smooth.
For sure.
And I mean, it even says in the hook, so it's meant to be there, and it just all of it is just so well put together. But I do this little bit where I pick out a track that I enjoyed, and I went with City Boys. Because it all feels, it has this kind of like classic feel in the sounds, like keys, the bass, the drum, just all of it kind of felt just so comfortable. And you were just vibing the whole time.
I love City Boys. City Boys is probably the first track, isn't my favorite track, but first track I made where it was like, okay, I can do this, right? I still remember where I was. Like I was sitting on my balcony downtown Portland, like pulled out my phone, started Life is Good, but it's gonna be better. Like I was like, all right, let me just, float on this real quick. Literally found a YouTube beat. Already had the words written. It was one of the songs that I rarely write a full song, but like I was just in a mode that day. Came across a beat I liked, and I was like, okay. Literally started. I was like, oh shit! Stopped in the middle of that. Like went straight to my computer.
Just ran inside.
Literally went straight to my computer. Put it down at home on Logic. Little USB mic. I got done with it, like sat with it for a while, sent it to my homies. I was like, yo, and I was like, yo, and then like sent it to Forrest at Never Home, and he was like, yo, and then, he added some tweaks to it, cleaned it up a bit, and it's like, F it, let's put it out. I love that track. I think it's,
So wait, is that the version from the USB mic?
Yeah.
Is that the one you just laid down there? Oh, damn.
Literally.
You just
like straight up, like didn't record in the studio. Like I've only 2 of the songs that I have been actually in like a studio. But yeah, man, I just was sitting at my computer just kind of vibing like on a USB mic. And then it turned out dope, man. That was a very feel good song. I had my mom on the end on like a little voice recording. Like I sent it to her. She was hyped. Like, so it was very like, it was happy. It was me. It was, it was genuine. And it was dope, man. I love City Boys, and it kind of just talked about me, coming from Texas, more country, coming to a city, and like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. Like, I'm gonna come, show my stuff, like, be motivated and try to take care of the family back home, all that type of vibe. So yeah, City Boys is a dope track. It's a favorite of a lot of people that like my music for sure, because it's the most like I feel like complete. Song structure is mostly like a general song structure would be. City Boys is dope. I like City Boys for sure.
Well, I would hope
Yeah.
No, it is.
I don't like all the music I make. Like, but City Boys is something I can listen to it, over and over. Like, because a lot of songs that once I hear, I'm like, all right, I'm done. Like, because I've heard it so many times. But City Boys definitely has some replay value for sure.
Oh yeah. And then I am curious to know, what are some of your favorite tracks of yours to perform? Or like when you get out there, what are the ones that you're like, this is the ones every time?
I really love Coffee with Lies. That was like that's still my favorite song because I think it's most genuine to the sound I like to make. Because it's more so like soul rocky, right? And like I started off very low register. It was a beat made from, Forest Pond and Never Home. I originally came on the song because like I hear like somebody coming on this with a lower voice because again when I first started making music I was making demos for other people and so I was like let me come on here in a low voice and I was like okay bet Coffee and I was like let me tell this story about a situation I was in basically and then like once I put the hook down I was like I feel this and I kind of paused for a minute and then when I come at the end with like just basically singing like church style and so like I prefer to perform those because I can like sing in front of people and like kind of have that soul rocky vibe to it. Like I love City Boys, love Night Rider, and love, Jaded, some of the more like rap centric tracks. But again, like I didn't start off as a rapper and I would never really consider myself a rapper. Like I'm an artist, hip hop artist, soul artist, singer. And so like that kind of bag, when I just go up there and sing emotions is a lot more comfortable for me. And I just think it's a lot more, authentic to kind of how I started. Because again, like I grew up like on, Jimi Hendrix, Prince, like more so rock side of things. I was a big, Block Party fan, which is like one of the, few I guess pop rock black had a black lead singer from the UK, which I was big on them, and so I really liked the element of just like going up and like singing, you know what I mean, in front of people. Like it's just far more comfortable for me to be, to be honest. So like Coffee with Lies is definitely far and away my favorite song to perform.
Definitely a quality jam for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And now let's talk about some new music that you're working on. Let's talk about stuff that hasn't come out yet. What can we look forward to? Like, give us some of the stylistic differences, approaches you're taking that are different. What do you got cooking? For
sure, man. So since 23, I've really been just like trying to collaborate with a lot of other artists. So just dropped a song with Swab the Jedi. Got the shirt on. That's the homie, man. He's definitely just helped me have someone to kind of bounce ideas off of, have a support system. So like a lot of again bass heavy things with him, but with also a lot of melodic vibes because he's a singer, melodic dude. Love all the stuff that he puts out, and we immediately like vibe because we have similar upbringings and backgrounds as well. So a lot of new music coming out with him shortly.
Well, I'm definitely stoked about that. And like imagining both your sounds in my head, it makes so much sense.
It's so fun to make music because it's just so organic. I have some more tracks with producer Goodbye Kalev coming out, kind of in that similar vein to the Undercover track, which is kind of like washed out sounds, kind of leaning kind of like a Party Next Door type of vibe. Party was a huge influence of mine, so a couple more songs coming out with him this fall as well, and literally trying to thug out this project. I've been having, a project laid out, 12 songs for like 4 years now, trying to get it to the point where I feel good about like just letting it go. So the plan is to, release a project, at least 6 songs, so side A, come December. So excited about that as well.
Hell yeah.
But, trying to find that right mix of like the soul side, the rock side, the R&B side, the rap side, into a cohesive story is what I'm really trying to be good at and trying not to overthink it. So a lot of good vibes, still gonna have the bass in it. Can't not have bass in it. Like,
definitely.
I'm a Texas boy, so I gotta have the knock in it.
I'm a bass player, so I'm looking for
me. You know what I'm saying? Like I need it. Like it just drives everything. So a lot to be excited about coming out. And I just been trying trying a lot of rap stuff, trying a lot of hip hop stuff, but again, like trying a lot of the kind of alternative vibe that kind of mixes in the world of all the drummers too. So I'm excited about this year and next.
Hell yeah. Well, definitely looking forward to that.
Definitely.
For this next one, I want to step back. Let's zoom out a little bit. And let's look at kind of music as a whole.
Yeah.
What are some of the things about either newer music in general or newer music to you that you enjoy and you're finding inspiration from right now?
I like how much good music is out now. and how it isn't as gatekept as it has been in the past. Like that, there's negatives to that because there's a lot of shit music out as well. But I'm a person who thinks, if you took the time to put some stuff that you believe in, it's dope regardless, right? I may not vibe with it, but somebody vibes with it. So I really like, some of the younger generation and the different cadences that they're using, going over old school beats with a lot of the different kind of flows to it. I really just, like seeing people do anything adjacent to kind of the norm, like the adjacent to the normal song structure. Here's a hook verse, bridge. And like, so anything that's kind of just, off the beaten path of sound. I like, I've really been into Concrete Boys, Caribou, Heavy. I love their beats. I love the cadences. I love how it's like, again, like that calm. It isn't like too loud, too screaming. They're kind of just talking to you.
I haven't heard anybody mention Caribou before.
I love
fun one.
I love Caribou, man. I really do. She's like definitely one of my favorite now. Doechii. Obviously we talked about Smino earlier. Like, what newer artists? I mean, I've been on Don Toliver since like 2018 from Texas, so like I kind of been in that bag. Like, so he's a person I also like really enjoy listening to because he's also a singer who just raps on the songs, right? So anybody who like is singing for a melody forward, like I really vibe with. So I'm excited to see, as more people have access to kind of create from their homes, it's less commercialized. I'm excited as that kind of keeps growing. You have your TikTok era music, which is dope. That's a bag. I'm not huge into like just the short minute songs. I really kind of like a whole like 3 minute 30 4 minute song. Like let me hear the whole thing. I'm a little more old school on that side, but there's a lot of dope shorts coming out as well. And I think it's more accessible to a larger group of people, which is dope. Again, I'm a person who came into music later as well, wasn't, classically trained or like, grew up doing it, which is dope. And you can tell when people have spent their whole life doing it, which is fire. But I also think there is a lane for people who may have been shyer or may not have the training, or like they can just, from the comfort of their own home or couch or living room, just create dope stuff. Yeah. And so I love seeing, maybe, you don't have the star power of some of these bigger people, but you're making some dope shit from home. So I really vibe with sounds like that and people who kind of can just get across their emotion, get across their message, their own way, and not just from a huge studio or having like a huge budget to back you and things like that. So like I really like just how inclusive the music industry is starting to seem, and like how it doesn't have as many gatekeepers. We could use a couple, but just in general, like how I love everybody to just have the access to the art that they want to create. And I think we're in a period now where it's more so everybody can make what they want to make, good or not now. So I like that.
Oh yeah. Sure. Oh yeah, no, I dig that. And then before we move into the next portion, this next question is probably the densest question in the interview. Okay. But we've talked a lot about, your experiences with music, the action, the reactions. But when it's just you and the music, one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
Music is therapy, man. So for one, just being able to get emotions out, arguments out. Tons of my songs are just notes from arguments, right? That I'm just kind of getting out, processing that. But music is definitely a place where I can kind of just come back to and be myself, whether I want to put it out or not. It's like, all right, I can transform this sadness, anger, shyness, anxiety into something beautiful, into something art, just like artists do when they paint, just like people who write poetry. It's just an outlet. And so music for me has always been an outlet, whether I was listening to it, whether I was listening to Jimmy Eat World at 16 crying for no reason, whether I was listening to Band of Horses, whether I was listening to James Brown. Like it was always to invoke or inspire me or help me get through a situation. And that's still true right now, in which it gets hard at times when you want to create things for other people or like to put out, because it comes like, all right, well, they like this, you know what I mean? And so I always have to kind of ground myself when find myself like comparing or like feeling like I need to meet a deadline because everybody's putting music out. I was like, what makes me feel something? And whenever it makes me feel something, then it's going to make somebody else feel something. You don't have to like compete or like have to hurry up and do things. Yeah. So for me, it's one, therapy. It's an outlet. And it's just like, it makes me feel good to do it and to create something, just like you like creating things with your hands, building things. And so seeing, whether I put a hook down or a whole song, it's like, I just did that. I just created that from my mind. And that's good for any creator just to get it out. And for a long time, again, like I was either doing sports or I was, in church playing drums. I wasn't really able to kind of get my message across, even to myself. And so like having that outlet has been huge for me. And I know that's huge for a lot of other people, especially people that kind of lean on the reserve side of things or shy side of things, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, definitely.
But now let's go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions. And for these, sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But this first one's pretty straightforward. If you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive. Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
Damn. So many people I'm about to miss on this one.
Well, it's not to say you can't work with them too. Just whoever comes to mind.
The first person that came to mind was James Blake.
Okay, hell yeah.
That was the first person to come to mind. I've been a huge James Blake fan since 2011. Love what he does in the hip hop side of things with production and even just how his music in general. Like, I don't think there's too many people that have the range in what they can make like James Blake. And so I feel like if I ever got the opportunity to vibe with him, one, I would just watch him work, but two, like, putting together some songs like him and Travis had Mile High together, which is one of my favorite songs of like all time. Cause again, he's coming on like a hip hop 808s and singing, right? Mm-hmm. So James Blake would probably be, and I don't know if that's the best choice, but right now,
that's a solid answer.
James Blake, man, I love his sound. I love his ear. I love kind of his impact on music, and I feel like a lot of people who really mess with R&B and hip hop recognize how good James Blake is and how good his ear is too. And so, he was the first person popping in my brain. So I got to say James Blake.
Hey, I mean, before we go into the next one, I just got to say you have name dropped so many quality artists in this episode. So that's definitely a solid choice.
Definitely.
And then for this next one, who's a local artist that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
Tons. There's so many. I'm a huge fan of Dante the Apple. I think he's probably the best rapper that's out here. And that's no disrespect to nobody else. But like when I just listen to him, I'm like, man, how do you do that? Like just the words, the cadences. He's super solid. Big fan of him. Zaya Bell is another singer out here who I love to collaborate with at some point. Great voice. A lot of heartfelt emotions come through her music. She would be dope. Obviously already working with Suave the Jedi. There's so many, man. I feel like I'm gonna just, miss out on a lot of folks. Let's see who else there is. Big fan of Bathlete, homies that are out here. They make music at Never Home. They're dope. Should have made music with them a long time ago. Probably will sometime soon. Obviously you can't, be in the Portland scene and be like, I don't want to make a song with Amina. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, that would be fire, if that was to ever, come to fruition. But there's so many artists that aren't as, well known that are just, great. You got Vina Baby, who's a great, singer out here. There's a guy that is a part of Yellow Trash Can and makes songs that burn money. Jitta on the track. Like I'm obsessed with everything he puts on the track. Like it's just ridiculous. He would be another dope person that I feel like is kind of in my vein of weirdness that I would, enjoy collaborating with. Again, there's so many more out here that I'll probably come to my brain and when I'm not under the gun.
No, you're all good. That was a solid list in general.
There's a good amount of people out here that are dope that I keep up with. There's also an artist in Seattle. I think you pronounced it Laza. Heard her music and was immediately drawn to her cadences and her vocal tone. Which I feel like is dope. She'd be dope to collaborate with as well. Again, I like collaborating with male, female, anyone whose tone seems to kind of match where mine would match. I feel like would be fire.
Hell yeah! Well, that is definitely a quality list right there.
Definitely.
And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limit, and it's pretty literal in this sense. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power. It was guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show. And it doesn't have to be a venue. It could be anywhere. Where would you want to perform?
Shangri-La with Rick Rubin.
Okay. Yeah, you just had that one locked in.
Yeah, that's been in the head, right? That would be dope to perform there, like maybe with Andre 3000 would be, amazing. Only reason I didn't say Andre 3000 instead of James Blake, because I feel like James Blake could create the sounds that I would want, and like Andre would just wash me in everything that he does. But like I really have always been an Outkast fan, but I've also always been a Andre 3000 fan. And so if I could perform with Rick in front of Rick Rubin, have him like kind of produce or like arrange with Andre 3000, like just to kind of learn and soak up that energy, like that would be amazing. Another huge influence of mine. Definitely can't do what he does, but do my own thing in my own unique way. But huge influence, would want to perform with him at Shangri-La in one of Rick Rubin's kind of studios. Shoes off, feet on the grass type vibe, like just kind of just vibing, I think would be a super dope experience.
Hell yeah. And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have not put out an album in 100 years, they could have put out an album yesterday.
Yeah.
Who would you want an album from?
Frank Ocean. Come on, like
you're like the second person to say that, and every time I hear it, I'm like, yep.
Frank, bro, like again, like whatever reason, like he don't need to make music, you know what I mean? But like
we need him to make more music.
I need you. You know what I'm saying? Like Frank is ridiculous. Another person who I just I can listen front to back any project and like no skips.
Yep.
The emotion, the cerebralness of it.
Yeah.
With the messages, that he tries to get across. Yeah, man, if I could do with one more of those albums for sure. Because Blonde, Channel Orange, both of those are just like constant rotations till this day, right? Like timeless stuff. And so, that's again first person to come to mind. There's several other options, but
that's a great Frank. If you're listening,
we need it. I need it. For sure, most definitely.
But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. What can we look forward to? I know you kind of touched on it before, but what can we look forward to between now and February?
Yeah, man. Like I said, a couple of collaborations coming up with some dope Portland artists. Father Jedi is one of them. A couple other folks, producer out here. LOL Leo, got a couple dope songs with him as well. But yeah, man, just, tune in to the IG page. Got my collaborations coming through first. Also, I have a band as well, The Garden. We have some tracks coming up this fall, which will be exciting to kind of get out. But yeah, man, a lot more music coming, a lot more consistent music coming. Been really kind of working on like making sure what I'm putting out is authentic to myself in that moment, because there's a lot of stuff that a lot of stuff I put out this year is from like 2-3 years ago, and so it's like it isn't really relevant. But like
catching up,
they're dope, but like I'm not really in that space anymore either. So I really want to like kind of catch up to where I am now, kind of get these stories out so I feel a little better about like when they're out. Like I can sing this because this is what I'm going through now, not 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So yeah, look forward to that. Really gonna try to get back into like kind of live music scene as well. I kind of stepped out of that for a while I was taking a break back. Got a couple folks in a band that are gonna help me kind of get some stuff together to put shows together. 6 songs, full live band, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's exciting, man. Like again, like life happens a lot of the times.
Don't I know it?
But there's a lot left in the tank. Obviously, I'm still very new to putting music out. Like it's been 4 years and I have 6 songs out of like 1,000 that I've made. So there's a lot to come, a lot of growth that has happened on my end personally and musically, that I think will kind of show up in the newer music that I put out. And so I'm excited about it. I feel good about it. I feel good about the people I kind of have around. Like a lot of my circle has gotten a little bit smaller, but not in a bad way, just a more kind of direct, focused way. Tighter for sure. And so like I'm excited to kind of collaborate with them. Again, like I've been doing a lot of collaborating, writing, producing, composing for other artists, and just helping that because it helps my brain.
Yeah. Rising tide.
Exactly. And so like doing things with them has like, I can do this for myself too on this side too. So I'm excited for that. So this fall, be on the lookout. Definitely a lot coming out. Hopefully get that project over the line, but at least a couple singles.
Oh yeah.
And
then looking forward to all that.
We'll be good to go for sure.
For this next one, go and look straight at the camera. Tell everybody how they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Chilifa Nem, Spotify, Apple Music, all those frames or all those platforms. Definitely follow me on there. A lot more coming. YouTube as well. But the easiest place to kind of lock in with me at will be on Instagram, Chilifa Nem. If you're an artist, want to collab, hit me up. I'm always down to send demos, get together in the studio. But yeah, a lot to be excited about. So keep up with the journey.
Oh yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Shoot, man. Yeah, my group, The Garden. OK Neeks, Neeks that Film, and Ivy Wave, both super talented artists. One's living in Connecticut now, one's in Texas. We're a collective. We put out a lot of dope music, so be on the lookout for them. Super talented writers, super talented rappers, super talented singers. I'm inspired by them every day. Obviously, the homie, Swab the Jedi, all the homies in Portland that are putting on. There's too many to list, but hopefully I can, collaborate with all of them. Cadron was another one that a Portland local artist that I'd love to collaborate with. Puts out dope stuff as well. Parker Howell, Karma, Rivera, Dead Rose. There's so many, man. There's so many people out here. I can't wait to see them kind of shine, and then kind of come out the shadows and hopefully break out of the Portland and the Northwest bubble, because there's a lot of dope talent that can definitely go nationwide out here too.
Oh yeah. And actually, fun fact, The Garden is how I found out about you.
Oh, sick.
So, yeah, that's
awesome.
A little bit of circular experience right there.
All right, that's fire, man. Yeah, I love them. That's the game, man. They're the reason I really do music, right? Because I started, making beats, writing for them, and they were like, "Nah, bro, you got it." So they help keep me encouraged. They help keep me, get me out of my shell. Because a lot of times I'd much rather be the person pressing buttons. Hey, do this here, but they're like, "No, get out, do your thing. You have something to share, something special, a light to kind of." Show people. And I know a lot of people can kind of relate to my upbringing, how I do things, certain amount of my idiosyncrasies and things like that, being on the spectrum a little bit as well. So like just, getting out of that shell, kind of putting on for people is definitely something that I've been encouraged to do and something that I'm going to try to stay on for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
All right. With that being said, we've got one last question to go. But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second.
Yep, do you think?
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Raw Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. With that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation.
Yep.
But what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? It's a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
Hopefully we can cut out the space it's going to take me for thinking about this. Obscure album that everyone should know. I'm going to go to the
going to the vault.
Phone archives for this one. Let's see. It's not even obscure, but it's what I've been listening to lately because I'm feeling like lazy in my answer.
I mean, that's okay.
I'll give three. Cruiser. Is a band, guitar heavy, have done stuff with Smino before. I've been listening to them constantly. Super dope. If I want to get like ratchet, Primo Rice, I'm a huge Primo Rice fan.
Okay, hell yeah.
Like beats, like cadences, like all that type of stuff, man. And then I guess, that last one, Laza, like I mentioned earlier, I think she's a Seattle artist. Has a lot of dope songs, and I feel like she's a person that's gonna like low-key blow up here sometime soon. So I would say Laza would definitely be one, especially relevant to kind of this area out here. It is somebody they should really, or people should really tap into. Obscure albums, though, man, that's gonna take me a whole grip to think about. So I'm gonna have to come back.
Those were all quality recs right there.
Cool. Sounds good.
But with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get up on out of here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Appreciate you having me, man. Definitely.
Oh yeah. And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Chilifa Nem.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap. This is not a podcast. This is a show. Keep jamming.